Prophecy is a dungeon themed around the Nine, where you will hunt down various echoes in order to progress. In here, you'll roam wide open spaces, navigate through trippy visual set pieces, hide in the dark, shine in the light, and traverse what can only be described as an MC Escher painting of an encounter. Let's get into it. Before we start, I've posted the locations of all of the hidden collectibles at the end of this guide. The primary mechanic for the dungeon is Light and Dark Moat Collection. When you kill a target that drops moats, mainly Taken Knights, they will drop 3 moats. They are light or dark depending on where you were when you killed them. If you were standing in a lit up area, then they will be light moats. If you were in the shadows, they will be dark moats. You can tell if you're in the light or dark by looking at the edges of your screen. This is the best way to tell what moats you'll get from an enemy when you kill them, and you shouldn't completely rely on where you think you were standing. Moats last for 30 seconds after being picked up. Collecting 5 moats will pop a moat into your hands, where you will then need to dunk it into either a black or white beam of, let's call this energy. Dunking a moat in the wrong spot does not do anything other than lose the moat. You dunk the moat with your primary fire button. The first section introduces you to this mechanic as you progress through to the first encounter. Simply kill knights, collect moats, and dunk them into the proper beams. The first encounter follows this mechanic exactly, except that you'll have a boss there now. You'll need to kill knights, have them drop moats of the type you need, dunk the moats in the beams of energy. It's the same as before, except there will be more than 2 beams this time. When all of the beams are removed from play, the shield protecting the boss will disappear and you can damage freely. Taken goblins will spawn in an attempt to shield the boss from damage, just kill them as they spawn in. During the fight, you'll have lots of Taken scions spawning in as well. Again, just kill them as much as you can. The Taken Knights appear to be the biggest threat with their fire and high damage output. The lower level you are, the more I would recommend safety supers like Shadow Shot, Well of Radiance, and Ward of Dawn, as you'll want some room to breathe as you are smothered by fire. Otherwise, there's not a whole lot else to this fight. It's more or less dunk the moats in the proper spots to remove the boss shield, and kill adds to stay alive. After you take care of the Phalanx Echo, you will move into the Wasteland, aka Heaven/Hell, which is a gigantic open area littered with Taken Minotaurs and other Taken groups of enemies. You'll want to look for groups of Taken and wipe them out, similar to what you would find at a Taken public event. However, there is a secret chest here that you might want to grab first if you're unfamiliar with the area. Using this video as a guide, you'll want to find a small patch of yellow sand out in this desert. After getting to the sand, you'll find a small hole at the top of the hill of sand, which will lead you to the chest. After wiping out an area of Taken enemies and blights, a Toland-like ball will guide you to the next area you need to go to, but it moves really quick, so you do need to be watching. If you do miss it, no worries, just roam around until you find the next camp. After 3 of these groups, you'll gain access to the Hexahedron, which is the second encounter. Look for giant lines off in the distance that form a cube. If you find one and it's not open, turn around and just go to the other one. The Hexahedron is an MC Escher-esque room that you must navigate, but navigating isn't as daunting as it might look. There is a cube floating in the middle of the room that will be blank on all sides except for the bottom. You must follow the Toland-like ball around the room in order to progress. In order to follow, you need to dunk the proper moat next to the side where the ball is. For example, the ball will go to one of the 4 walls around the room. If on that side is a light energy beam, you need to dunk the light moat right there. Once you dunk a moat, the center plate will light up. When all players stand in this center plate, you'll be lifted up into the next room, where you will repeat the process until all sides of the cube are marked with circles. You'll know you're at the end when you fight 2 Centurion Echoes, but these do not have a lot of health at all. Again, the game plan here is the same as the first encounter. There will be many trash mobs to kill and many Taken Knights throwing fire everywhere. You'll also want to look out for Taken Hobgoblins that will spawn up high periodically after you kill Taken Knights. If you're underleveled, bring safety supers. Important to note that there may be instances where the Toland ball is on the ceiling. In this case, you should be able to make a moat and place it anywhere, going to the center like normal after dunking it. Once you've made it out of the Hexahedron, you're going to go to the opposite side of the area where you came in, following the Kell Echo. Do not bother shooting the Kell Echo, it is immune to everything and it will just stomp and kill you. You'll find another similar looking building and make your way into a trippy space called the Singularity. This is a platforming and navigation section, utilizing a mix of sparrow riding or platforming. You can walk if you want, I just really wouldn't recommend it. This is a moderately long section, but generally speaking, just follow the path down and feel free to explore. The second chest is in the pyramid right before the final drop down to the final boss. Look for a hole in the ground on the right side as you enter this final pyramid. Take the path all the way through, jump across the gap when you get there, and then take the stairs up. Upon reaching the end, you will fight the Kell Echo, the final boss of the dungeon. You'll find a very similar mechanical concept here as the previous two encounters. However, the room is set up a little bit differently. The room is a triangle shape with the boss replicated in each corner, constantly shooting at you. The room will be filled with trash mobs and Taken Knights. At each corner of the room will either be a light or dark energy beam. And once again, I am asking you to dunk moats into the proper beams. When you dunk a moat, two things happen. Number one, the boss will disappear from that corner, and number two, an ogre will spawn in the same corner. When you dunk 3 moats in all of the corners, you'll want to go to the center of the room to move to the damage phase. The idea here in the moat phase is to clear out one corner as fast as possible to give yourself some space. It's not a bad idea to burn a super when you first enter this room to give you a boost in clearing stuff out. Be careful when dunking moats though, as the boss can be very lethal at lower levels. Try to get an overshield of some kind or have a hunter make you invisible for safety. Upon entering the damage phase, you'll be greeted by a new room and 3 rows of platforms all heading forward. You'll be able to damage the boss freely here for quite a while, but there is a new mechanic you'll need to be attentive to called Dark Entropy. Dark Entropy slowly builds over time if you are not close enough to the boss. The boss has a giant ring around it which will remove Dark Entropy from you. Hitting the 10th stack of Dark Entropy will not immediately kill you, but you'll only have about a second or two to get back inside the boss circle. The boss will also throw Taken Orbs at you, similar to how a Taken Captain does, but these orbs will teleport you backwards, forcing you to run forward to not die to Dark Entropy. Taken Hobgoblins will also spawn in when the boss teleports further into the room. The game plan here is to stay a little spread out so that you're not constantly jumping away from the teleport orbs, but if it works for your team to stick together, there's nothing wrong with that. The teleport blasts that the boss sends out do not have a gigantic range. Otherwise, stick close to the boss and light it up as much as possible. After the boss reaches the end of this section, you'll head back to not the same, but a similar room as the moat phase previously to repeat this process until the boss dies. Once the boss is dead, congratulations, you have just completed Prophecy. I am working on solo guides for all classes using no pinnacle weapons, similar to what I did with Pit of Heresy for those of you wanting that emblem. The rest of this video will be a guide on the collectibles within the dungeon. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.
Guardian, do you read? Eris, I got this. Go back to yelling at that tree on Io.
You need a handler, Rat, and the Guardian needs support.